Okay, in this video we are going to make some flowers for Valentine's Day, for Easter, for spring, for fun. I'm going to be using my sunflower stamp set to make all these flowers in the video, and I'm just going to go in with some brown ink that I mixed up on an ink pad. I used primary colors to get this and just swirled it together on the pad here. And I'll be working with polyester fabric for this video, much like I did the point-sided video. I'll be using some warm colors on polyester fabric and some cotton polyester blends and some sheer fabric. And I'm going to use those fabrics because I'm going to singe them with a candle at the end. Here's one stamp, and I'm going to use 3 stamp impressions for each flower. So just keep that in mind. You might want to do this in stages. So after you stamp them, you're going to want to cut them out. And this is the method I've been using. I just cut along one side of all the flower blades. I find it's easier than going up and down in the valleys and the hills sort of thing. Another really pretty fabric that would be nice for this would be some organza. Really anything that's like synthetic fabrics would work really well. And if you don't want to singe them or use synthetic fabrics, then go ahead and use some cotton or some other sort of natural fiber product. Your edges will fray, especially if you wash them, but you can use that to your advantage. I've made a dress before in the past using broadcloth cotton to make my flowers, and they're all like roughly around the edges, and it looks really nice for that project. After I'm done cutting the blades in this direction, I'm just going to flip it over. That way I find it awkward to cut in the opposite direction, so if I flip it over, I'm cutting in the same direction every time. So once you got the flower cut out, I'm just going to snip all the way down to the center of the flower in a few areas to make some sections here. Every like 3 or 4 petals sort of thing. Most fabrics you have to like load your brayer or stamp with ink like crazy, but if you're working with a sheer fabric, you actually want to go in a little lighter with the ink because it actually will smudge and make a huge mess. So I like to put cotton underneath my sheer fabrics, and having that cotton underneath to absorb any excess ink really helps keep the stamp impression nice and crisp and tidy. There. Or you have these seams, we're just gonna fold them in half. Like that, so that you can kind of swiftly go along and double up on that. With my last video, a few people mentioned they were a little hesitant to do this because, you know, like fire. I don't mind setting mine on fire because the singed, burned edges don't bother me aesthetically. 100% polyester, like it singes way easier than the blends do. The blends do, you have to like literally catch it on fire before it really gets sealed edge there for you. But if you don't feel like, if you're a little scared, maybe keep like a bowl of water, and if it gets out of control, you can just huck it in there. But honestly, I find this is not nearly as bad as like my glue gun. Maybe my hands are just a little dead now from my glue gun, but I have like had like welts and like blisters from my glue gun, and anytime like this catches fire, I can just snub it out with my hands, and I feel the heat. But and also giving it like a stern shake seems to help a lot too. But this stuff, this sheer stuff, you can be quite far away from the flame here. Do you see? Woo. Woo. Okay guys, remember when I said cotton polyester blend and I was nearly catching my hands on fire? Yeah, don't use cotton polyester blends. It burns, like it catches on fire more than it singes. So I was gonna double up or even triple up on these, but I changed my mind because that's what I do. But before I start that, I just want to show you, like, if you just wanted to like layer and sew them down, like how pretty that looks, or if you wanted to like layer them up, it still looks pretty. It doesn't look like a daisy, but it's still beautiful. Or if you wanted to fold these up, you could make like, and sew that down. You could make something like really ruffly. Like you can use these in a multitude of ways to achieve different looks. So I'm gonna get some yellow acrylic paint and some raw sienna, and I got a brush with some water, and I'm just gonna water down this paint a little bit so it kind of bleeds into the fabric. If you want, you can use fabric medium, but I'm not gonna wash these or anything, so I don't think I'll have any problems just using some water. It's fine, it bleeds into there. So I'm gonna do that to all my flowers. I really enjoy making paper flowers using the IOD stamps, because you're starting from somewhere already. You already have a lot of lines and textures. So it's like you're jump starting your flower. I mean, did I say paper? When said I said paper, I mean fabric, sorry. Okay, I'll paint it and dried. I'm gonna grab some polyester or some really nice strong thread. And we're gonna start from underneath, and we're gonna follow that line. Evenly spaced running stitch around the flower. And once we get back to where we started, we're gonna put our needle on the underside. I didn't do this with all of them, but I'm gonna put a little bit of batting in that little center as I pull my thread. I'm just gonna go across the flower and knot it. Little snip. That's the sort of thing you're gonna be left with here. Just gonna like squish that until it's nice and more round. Get those petals out of the way. Okay. And I'll show you what all these look like. I got myself some of this stuff. Now, using some fabric with a pattern on it is really fun for this. And I'm just gonna grab a leaf from the sunflower stamp set, the tiny one. Get a lot of ink on there, and let's just stamp some leaves in here. See guys, I'm way more inclined to hurt myself with my glue gun than playing with a lighter. Back to the project here. I got this leaf. I'm gonna make a bunch of impressions of that guy. I'd like at least 10. Okay, just cut one of those out. And I'm gonna cut the stem off the little leaf. And I got myself one of these little broochy things. So I'm just gonna like line that up here, and then I'm gonna fold it. And I'm gonna cut a little snip and a little snip. That's I'm gonna create a big enough hole for me to slide that hardware through the leaf. There we go. Now that's all cut out. I'm gonna take my lighter again and singe all those edges. Look, I'm not setting it on fire. Let's feed this guy through our little holes. There. I'm going to hot glue that to the back of the leaf. I'm not going to glue the whole leaf down. I'm going to glue across that part. And all the way around, a little zigzag here. Get rid of those nasty strings. And press it all down. And I think that looks really nice and clean. That's project 1. For my second project, I'm gonna need some wire. So I cut it probably like the length of my arm here. I'm just gonna fold it in half and twist it on itself. So this is going to be the main stem. So just have it be twice as long as you want your finished stem to be, so that when you fold it over, it's the perfect length that you're going for. And then I need 2 more like offshooty stems. Okay, so now I have 3 stems. Now I want to have some leaves as well. So I have this here, and the bottom of my stem is quite flimsy. So I'm going to start by wrapping this around the end here. And we're going to twist that on up. There. I'm using the same fabric that I used to create the flower on the leaves with. And you're just going to cut it a few strips. Okay, so I have those all cut out and singed, and this is the last step basically before assembly, guys. And I am doing 5 flowers, so I'm going to cut out 5 circles out of the same fabric that I used for my leaves. Show you what I'm going to do with the circles here. And this time there is no need to singe the edges. We're gonna just make a yo-yo out of this guy. So folding the little hem over and doing a running stitch. And as soon as I'm done with sewing this, I'll show you what this is for. Okay, I'm just gonna knot that. So I am going to hot glue the bottom of my flower onto this guy. So I'm going to make those for all the bottoms of my little flowers. So we got our branch, got our flowers with little bottoms to it, and we got our strips, and we got our little leaves. It is assembly time. So we're gonna grab our branch and one of our strips. The widest strip is the one I'm gonna start with here. Gonna dab a little bit of glue on here, and I'm going to start wrapping. Every now and then as I'm wrapping, I'm just gonna do a little tiny blob of glue. Okay, I'm up to my branch here, so I'm just gonna do one more round, and then I'm gonna start twisting around here. Okay, so I got the end of one of those little strips, so I'm just going to taper it a little bit. Glue it all the way down. Take the corner off this little bit, just so it doesn't get too bulky. And start again. Branch is done. It's a little fluffy. It's got a bunch of little hairs on it. So we're just going to go in with the lighter. You're going to take your first flower and you're going to put the nozzle to your hot glue gun in there, and you're just going to like fill it like a donut or a cannoli. Here, just pipe the hot glue in there. And then take your stem and poke it in there. There's one. There's two. Woo! There's three. Okay, so I'm gonna put some glue going down this leaf on the back side and put it on the end of my branch. Hold it there for a few seconds. Okay. I'm gonna take another one, and this time I'm gonna put glue on the front side of it, kind of going down here. And then I'm gonna kind of put it on the branch and then like hug the branch.
I'll put a list of the materials I used for this project in the description. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, consider subscribing.